Hello, welcome to another episode of the Video Creator Show. I am Grant, here talking with the Hoof GP. His name is Graeme Parker. He does a lot of fascinating things. He helps cattle that have issues with their hooves, and there's a lot of nasty stuff that can happen out there on the pasture, and it's really satisfying to watch, I find. These are kind of up-close videos, and there's a process of kind of carving away the disturbed tissue on the hooves, and it's really a realm of things that I think people find satisfying, and ultimately it's just nice to see happy cows, right? They seem like they're a lot better off. So before we get into that, you probably know the Video Creator Show is brought to you by VidChops.com. Check out VidChops.com, help take the burden of editing off your back, take your YouTube channel to the next level, and with that, let us talk to the Hoof GP. Graeme, how you doing today?
I'm doing really good, yeah, really good. It's a dark, wet and windy, wild night here in southwest Scotland, but apart from that, I'm really good, yeah. Thanks for having me.
Right on. Yeah, I appreciate you being here. And so I think channels like yours are pretty fascinating. It almost seems like a realm of things that is similar to like Dr. Pimple Popper or kind of these sort of satisfying videos where you're kind of going through the healing process. And this is an interesting place to be because it's such niche content, yet you have 1.7 million subscribers. You get hundreds of thousands of views a video. What kind of intrigued you to start pointing the camera at these surgical operations or whatever you want to call it?
So I am my typical viewer, really. I do watch. You mentioned Dr. Sandra Lee, the pimple popper there, and I watch those kind of videos. There's the Tobro, all sorts of things like that. I'm really intrigued by that kind of almost car crash type scenario. You know, you're driving down the street, you shouldn't look, but there's a car crash and you can't help but look. It's that kind of thing. So I'm always interested in seeing that kind of content. I'm also the kind of person who needs to be doing lots and lots of things in my personal life. Otherwise, I start to get bored and look for other things to do. So I was enjoying hoof trimming. I was looking to expand my business. I was looking for new things to do. And I was at a 40th birthday party and I said, I'm going to start a YouTube channel all about hoof trimming and it's going to become huge. And I didn't expect it to grow as quickly as it did. But I thought there was definitely potential for something like that because there was nobody really in that space. Like you said just a second ago, it is very niche. There are more and more people doing it now, and with horses and cows alike. But at the time, there was virtually nobody doing it at all, and I wanted to change that. So yeah, it kind of all started from there and snowballed, really. Same as a lot of channels do, I would expect.
So it seems like your initial goal was to bring attention to this because there seems to be kind of two reasons that people start a channel. One is they just kind of like doing something, and YouTube is kind of like a medium to express themselves. There's something about putting something on video and posting it that kind of is like, okay, well, I've put it out there, but ultimately they maybe aren't trying to send a message. It's more of a self-expression thing. But this one, it seems like you really did want to show people this kind of world of helping the cows out. Was like, why did you feel like that was important to do?
So there were three main reasons for actually starting my channel. The one that really kicked it off and pushed me was there was a video online that went super viral. It was everywhere. And I'm obviously within agriculture, so I knew the context of the video. The video was of a bunch of cows crossing a road in Russia, and they were all lame and limping and sore. And it was like 150 million views or something like that. And the vast majority of the comments were about how these cows were abused and things like that. And it definitely looks that way, and it's horrible to see, and it's not something I want to see. But also, that farm could have been a farm that had 20,000 cows milking on it, and these 10 or 12 cows were the only ones with problems. So then it now becomes a small issue, although it's a serious issue, but there was no context behind it. And I thought, you can't put a video like that on and not give context. It might be bad, it might be, well, I was going to say it might be good, it's definitely not good, but it might not be quite as bad as it first seems. So I thought somebody needs to put context behind these things. But more than that, I wanted to push hoof trimming, so my industry, forward and really help farmers to look after their cows better, but also help the public who are not involved in agriculture understand why a cow is lame or sore, and maybe understand what farmers and people in the industry are doing about it, or sometimes not doing about it. And that, me trying to achieve numbers, a part of it was the more numbers I could get, the more farmers would be within those subscribers and viewers. And that would mean that more people were learning how to look after their cows for free, because you can go on these different hoof trimming training programs and things, and they cost thousands and thousands of pounds. So it was a place that I could show farmers directly exactly how they could look after their cows, but also show progression of a cow that maybe they thought there was no point in saving, or sadly thought she'd go down the road kind of thing. So yeah, we've helped hundreds of thousands of cows across the world. There's no doubt about it that the Hoof GP has achieved something, maybe not enough, but definitely something towards cows being more comfortable, and also people understanding the issues that farmers have got. So those were the two of the three ideas or main reasons for me to push forward to actually doing the YouTube channel. So one was teaching farmers how to look after the cows. Two was raising awareness of what exactly this is and this isn't. And I'll be totally honest, the third reason for starting a YouTube channel was a business opportunity. YouTube creates revenue, and that's something that it gives me focus. So it's not even the actual monetary value, believe it or not. It's the fact that there's this tangible source that lets you know how you're doing. So any figures that come in money-wise, it's more like points in a game than actual money, but it's the most tangible and real sort of impactful thing that you can have with any industry. So chasing those numbers and chasing other YouTubers and chasing figures going up is something that gives me focus as a person who kind of struggles to focus otherwise. So yeah, there's a lot of reasons in there. Probably I said three, but probably more than three.
Mm-hmm. And those are all great reasons. And I think, especially with the topic of this podcast of kind of how to build a YouTube business, I'm curious when it comes to kind of increasing numbers or kind of, you said it helps give you focus to kind of grow this channel. What are things you keep in mind when doing this? Because this is clearly a niche that it has become really popular, or your channel is huge. What are things that you tweak here and there to kind of grow? Because most of the video obviously is kind of the process of removing the hooves and the issues with the hooves and talking to the camera. But there seems like there isn't a ton of wiggle room, but clearly you always seem to find it. So yeah, what goes through your head when you're trying to innovate things?
So you're right. The process is the process. I think that's kind of what you were getting at there. Like what you're doing is what you're doing. It's not scripted or anything like that. But absolutely everything is thought about. Literally everything, from how lame the animal is, the farm that she's on, to how long will this take, to the lighting, to the sound quality, to am I jovial at certain points in the video, how factual should I be, how focused on the cow should I be. Like everything is super focused. Even sometimes, I don't know how many videos you've watched, but sometimes I'll muck my lines up and I can't quite spit out what I'm trying to say. And I'll judge. That probably happens 95% of the times we shoot any video. And I'll judge how often to keep those slips up in, because it's real. That is
right.
what's happening. And I want people to know that it's not just this facade. That really is what's happening. But equally, I know that if I leave too many muck-ups in, it just looks like I'm kind of silly and kind of can't get a grip on my words. So everything is really, really kind of analyzed, and even down to the point where if I've got a static shot that is sitting in the same position on a tripod for too long, then it'll be panned in, because I know for a fact that people start to lose focus. Whereas if we pan in, then people start to drift off into kind of like a dreamlike state. You drift off of it. So when you say, what do I focus on? There's literally nothing I don't focus on. It's every little bit. I also I actually do 3 types of video within my channel. So I'll do very, very factual learning videos that are full of information and full of how-to and full of technical jargon. And that is the message I want to get across to farmers. But I'm aware that people that not from an agricultural background might not enjoy that. And I need to keep the momentum up. So I'll do simplified videos that are much shorter, get to the point much quicker, and don't have as much technical jargon, and so that other people can enjoy them, and then maybe will come back and absorb some of the ones with information in. But then on top of that, I also do some that are much, much longer, and they're vlog style. So they'll include my family, so my children, my dogs, my wife, and that's to secure an attachment to people. It's also because I really love doing those kind of videos, but I know that anybody can produce a video of a cow's hoof or a horse's hoof doing this or that or the next thing. But there's nobody in the world that can produce a video with me and my children in other than me. So I kind of need people to buy into the Hoof GP to keep the motivation there. And I do that by producing longer videos, which as well are fantastic to look back at, obviously.
Mm-hmm. And so how do you, what is your mindset in making those videos? Because I know of a lot of channels, they kind of have something that works. And maybe it's kind of specific, maybe it's more general, maybe it's something like makeup tutorials, right? And then they want to move into vlogs. But I think a lot of people kind of have trouble doing both and sort of including the more personal aspects of their lives in a way that meshes well with this process or formula or topic that they've found. So how do you kind of bridge those two worlds? Because it seems to work really well for you.
It's definitely a juggling act. Again, going back to one of your previous questions when you asked what I focused on, and I said everything. So I'll focus on numbers, and basically if I start doing too many videos that are too long, then I'll notice that numbers and retention start going down because some people aren't necessarily there for that. They've not built the bond with Graeme Parker, the person from the Hoof GP, so they're not interested in it, which is why then if I notice that, I'll inject a shorter video that is much more to the point so that those people say, yeah, that's why I'm coming here. And during those shorter ones, they maybe don't build a huge rapport with you, but they do build some kind of bond and some kind of residual rapport to come back. And then maybe next time when we put up a longer video, they'll buy into it more and they'll enjoy it a little bit more. So it's constantly just teetering with how are the numbers doing? Because the numbers, again, the numbers aren't about money or anything like that, but it's such a gauge of, so I never think about how much money can I make. I think, how can I grow the channel? That's all I think about. How can I grow this channel? And the numbers never lie. So if they start going down, then that means that YouTube's not recommending them as much, or Facebook's not recommending them as much, or whatever. So we'll play back to what I know is a really strong subject. So a short video that's straight to the point, that may be quite graphic if we've been doing something that's graphic or whatever. So yeah, I'm constantly just juggling. Also, if I start to get bored with something, so if I was just doing short videos, I'd get bored of that. So I need to do something that keeps me enthusiastic, because if I'm not enthusiastic and enjoying the videos, nobody else will. It's also whenever I'm editing, if I'm editing something, I will watch it obviously 5 or 6 or 7 or 10 times. even on the 10th time, if I start getting bored of whatever it is I'm watching, even in a small segment, then I just literally chop it and throw it away. So yeah.
And like, is there a part of that that's hard? Because I find editing my own videos and watching something so many times, it's like it can be hard to be objective past a certain point, especially, you know, when you're the one in it. It's like, you know, it's your face, it's your voice. How do you have any tips for how to edit your own videos and not get really stuck in your own head? Like, because clearly your process works where you are picky about what you keep in and kind of how you pivot, but it doesn't seem to hold you back. Like, you still post quite a lot, and it's like, what advice do you have for kind of staying productive, but not being too self-conscious?
So I watch every video I ever make. I watch on TV as soon as I finish making it and it's uploaded to YouTube. I'll sit in front of my TV that's behind me, a huge one, and I'll watch it. And if I'm bored of it, I'm very good at detaching myself from it. And I actually enjoy making videos. It sounds silly. A lot of people don't enjoy the art of making a video. They just produce content to produce content. And if you're going to do that, then it'll be very difficult to progress forward. So you need to find something that you really enjoy. So when I'm sitting watching TV and I'm enjoying it, if I start to get bored at all, I need to learn from it straight away. If it's a kind of like, oh, that wasn't great, then that's fine. Something that is 95% better is way better. Casey Neistat said that it's better to put a video up that's 95% perfect than never put a video up that's 100% perfect. And that rings through me all the time. You will never get any video perfect. And even if it was perfect, because it's perfect kind of makes it imperfect. You don't want that. It's not completely real. Also, a huge thing, people, when they first start creating, they look at a video and they think, I look stupid. They think, I look stupid. I sound stupid. People will laugh at me. But really, if you stand back and you saw someone else on YouTube, everybody's seen hundreds, if not thousands and thousands of people on YouTube. Personally, I never look at somebody and think, what an idiot, he's stupid, he looks silly. And even if that thought did enter my head, it would just be fluttering through kind of thing. It's only there for a second. So if I'm not looking at you right now, for instance, thinking you look stupid, which I'm not thinking that at all, then why would somebody look at me and think the same? You know, I literally never look at somebody and ridicule them in my own head. So I step back and think, well, if I'm not doing it, it stands to reason that 99% of other people aren't doing it either. So just get on and do it, because the more confident you are with it, the more it oozes into the screen, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is completely true. And I think kind of the way that you perceive others, in a way, it can kind of play into how you perceive yourself watching videos. And obviously there's kind of a self-reflective aspect to that can sort of add a layer of complication when you're watching your own face. But yeah, it's true. Like, I'm the same, you know, I don't look at people and think like, God, that guy looks like a fool. Like, I don't know, he's just a guy, and it's not a big deal. So what is, like, do you have a balancing act? I mean, clearly you do, of kind of like the day-to-day of, you know, helping these cattle out and then running a YouTube channel. So you kind of have like a business in like your kind of boots on the ground business, and then your kind of online business. Like, can you talk about kind of how that your kind of in-person life melds with your online life?
Yeah, so everything is very, very real time. So some people will schedule and do uploads a week, 2 weeks, a month into the future. That's not me. I'm very, very current. So anything that is uploaded is from the day before or the day that I upload it. The way I do that is for the first 2.5 years, I did everything myself, and every minute of video took roughly an hour to edit. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't so much a balancing act as just working nonstop. It was just constant working till 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning. As soon as I'm finished work, just keep going. Now I have an editor. He doesn't edit my videos completely. So what he does is he rough cuts them. So I'll give him an hour and a half's worth of footage and he'll give me 10 minutes back. Then from there, I'll spend about another 2 hours doing, for instance, right now I'm working on a video that's about 9 minutes long and I've been sitting here for 2 hours changing it. So he just gets rid of the bulk of the work. That really, really helped. Being decisive, like deciding, yes, that took me an hour to film that part, but it doesn't work. Cut it out, get rid of it. If it doesn't work, get rid of it. Hayden Hillier-Smith, I don't know if you know who that is. He was an editor for Logan Paul. He always said, murder your darlings. So even if you love it, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Just get rid of it, move on to the next one. Don't dwell in it or anything like that. But other than that, it's kind of like a freight train. You get on and you just keep going. No matter what's in front of you, just sit at that computer, get your coffee, get your snacks, whatever, and just keep going until it's done. Because if you stop and go away and come back and stop and go away and come back, you end up spending 3 or 4 times longer on that video. And you know that's valuable time that you're not going to get at your day job or shooting another video or moving forward. And I'm sure it's the same for almost everybody creating YouTube content. As soon as you've finished it, move straight on to the next one and just keep moving forward. Even if you've made mistakes, you keep moving forward and learn from them. So it's not a juggling act or a balancing act. It's just a full steam ahead act. It's,
just one day at a time.
I don't like to keep quoting people, but I keep meaning to get a tattoo. And Casey Neistat has a tattoo on his forearm that says "Do More," and I'm constantly just thinking, just do more. So whether it's the audio or the music we pick or slow pans or moving or anything like that, it's just do it. Like, so when you think you've done enough, just do a little bit more, because somebody else would have thought, I've done enough, and they didn't do the bit more. So just do a bit more than everybody else and just keep going. And it seems to pay dividends, because when I'm feeling tired and struggling through a video, I'll go downstairs and chill out in front of the TV or something. And I think, no, do more. And it really does genuinely seem to work.
Mm-hmm. And can you talk about how you figured out that kind of relationship with your editor, where they cut out, most of the video, they take an hour and a half of raw footage and they turn it into 10 minutes or something? Because a lot of people, they maybe get some traction on YouTube and they're doing all the editing themselves. They think about hiring an editor, and then it occurs to them like, nobody could ever edit the way I edit. So like you've clearly found a kind of hybrid process here where they get rid of a lot of the kind of grunt work or things like that, and then you can end up doing the more technical, really specific things yourself. Like how did you come upon that, and do you have any advice, like general advice, to help somebody kind of figure out their process of working with an editor?
Yeah. So first off, nobody can edit the way I can, and nobody can edit the way you can, because everybody's opinions and ideas and artistic mind are completely different. So you cannot completely replicate it. So I knew that before I started looking for an editor. So I wasn't looking for somebody who could edit in exactly the same way as me. What I was looking for was somebody who was willing to listen. So somebody who knew how to edit, but was completely willing to listen. And what I did was I actually went on Fiverr.com and got somebody to edit a bunch of my long format videos into shorts and TikToks so that I could check that they could actually edit. And then once I found somebody that I liked, I called them up and I said, look, do you fancy doing this? We'll give you a retainer. You'll be doing 2 videos a week, so 8 a month, and that's about it. So yeah, we move forward from that. And what we do is, so not so much now. We've been working together for 6 or 7 months now. But for the first 3 or 4 months, I would send him a bunch of video clips via Google Drive or WeTransfer. He would send me back his finished rough cut. And then I would actually film myself watching his rough cut. And I would basically talk talk my way through his edit. And I did it constantly for the first, like I say, 3 or 4 months. So, for instance, if there was no slow pan, I would tell him this shot's 3 or 4 seconds too long, stop it here, pan in slowly so that the person's not bored. And then if there's a fast sequence, for instance, and he had jump cut it, but for instance, if the eye, so I'm a big believer in eyes should always line up on jump cuts. Because your eyes are always looking for eyes. So if they didn't line up, I would say those eyes don't line up. They need to line up when you do a jump cut. So constantly, it was just teetering him to where it was close enough for me to just finish it off in a matter of an hour and a half or 2 hours. And that process really worked because it sounds silly, but I was very, very honest and not brutal. I want to say brutal, but not brutal, but honest. I never said, oh, that's okay, if I didn't think that's okay. You know, I wasn't nice about it. And now I wasn't harsh about it, but I was just honest. And now he does the rough cut almost exactly as I would do it before I go on to the finer stages. But I find the finer stages, like, for instance, music choice, I find it so tactile and so distinctly me that I don't think anybody could ever pick. Well, he would never pick the same music I would pick. So yeah, it was just working really closely, giving him lots and lots of feedback that was positive, but like straight talking, really. Yeah, and he's really strong. He's up for working with me indefinitely, he says, and it works really well. Yeah.
I think that's a really important thing that you seem to have kind of just figured out. So this was this the only editor you've ever worked with?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So I find some people, they end up like going through a lot of editors, and even though the editor is good and they know what they're doing, they just haven't really been trained properly. Because really an editor's job is to kind of be a chameleon, so to speak, to kind of edit in your voice, right? I think a lot of people struggle with teaching how to edit in your voice, in your style. In that idea of you kind of reacting to a video and recording yourself that this editor created, I think that's really smart. That's actually the first time I think I've heard of somebody doing that. And it can really, it sounds like, just help you hone in on this is how you kind of teach somebody. And then once they get the kind of subjective vibe of your videos down through kind of trial and error, they can be a really reliable editor. So I think some people kind of drive themselves crazy by expecting perfection kind of the first or even second or third time. But it's really powerful. Just give some notes, and kind of the more iterations and videos you get done, the more the editor is going to realize okay, this is how the process goes. This is how this guy likes it. And that's just a natural part of things. It doesn't necessarily mean somebody isn't good at what they're doing. It's just you're kind of expecting them to read their minds, which clearly you never did.
And quite a big part of it was knowing what to let slide and what to pick up on straight away. So I didn't want him to get 2 hours of footage, send me 10 minutes back, and me just totally annihilate every single little thing. You know, pick the big parts that are wrong, the ones that are easy to get right. And then, for instance, if he's rotating a shot as it zooms in, maybe leave that and just fix it yourself. And then once he's down with the basics, then teeter in and say, look, this is something we're going to work on next. This is the next thing we're working on. This is the next thing we're working on. It should be a relationship. An editor can be hugely invaluable to somebody. It really, really can. I was at the point when I was just doing 60 or 70 hours a week on YouTube and doing my 40-hour week at work. I've got 2 kids, I've got a wife, and my head was just like, whoa, whoa. And I'm thinking, why am I doing this if I'm working too hard? And to begin with, for the first 18 months, it was just pure fun. It was good. It was brilliant. But after that, it starts to get hard work. So if you're not enjoying it, you're not going to produce the best content that you can be producing. So you need to find yourself more time somehow. And if you can work with an editor, and pay him a decent wage, then it's good for him and good for you. So yeah, I'm very lucky. Mike's his name, actually. I've never told anybody actually that I have somebody who helps me edit until now. But
Shout out to Mike.
yeah.
I do know some good editors named Mike, I gotta say. Maybe there's something about the name.
Well, he's from the States, but he lives in England actually. So maybe it's Mike from the States that works.
Yeah, so this process that's great. I that's a wonderful story, honestly. Just like I know I'm a YouTube nerd, so maybe some people don't quite understand how cool it is that you were willing to work with somebody that long to kind of and be patient in teaching them instead of kind of casting them aside or whatever. But yeah, that's really dope. So the kind of business aspect of your channel. So you obviously get a lot of views, and that's a way to that's a revenue stream. You have a store. Can you talk about like how you've kind of built it into a business beyond kind of getting the views? Like what other ways has this kind of fed into like being an income stream?
So and it's hugely diverse. So obviously we have views, and I now pull revenue in from Facebook as well, which is the same content. We sell merchandise to all over the world. That can be hugely lucrative, but problematic at the same time. That's a massive, massive undertaking. We sell online courses in hoof trimming and background information about hoof trimming. We have an audio app that is actually being launched in about 20 minutes from now. The main channel's sponsored. Everything we use is sponsored. We do appearance fees. So the list, I mean, it really is, it's large. There's a book coming out next year. So yeah, we pull revenue in from all sorts of different streams. And again, it's not even just about the revenue. It's about, obviously the revenue is fantastic. It's changed my family's lives, but it's about keeping the focus and like it shows the fruits of your labor kind of thing. You do this and you get that. So, all right, okay, I need a bit more of that. So it'll focus you further on doing something else and doing something else. Yeah, so we've done all sorts of things, even charity, to be honest. So we've probably raised 60 or 70 or 80,000 pounds for charity over the last couple of years, and that really gives you focus as well. Pulling revenue in for a good cause, but it also lets you gauge what's possible as well. It is incredible what you can earn via these revenue streams. We did so with merchandise. I only really started merchandise because people really wanted. They were asking for it constantly, and in 1 month we did $90,000, just straight off the bat without really trying. And it was such a huge undertaking. We actually stopped 2 months later and then went down a different route to do something else. But it just shows you like the capacity that some of these YouTube channels have to pull income in. You wouldn't do it if you didn't love it and didn't really get behind the message that you're sending out as well, though. I mean, it's not like I could paint walls on a YouTube channel and make money from it. I would, even if it did make money, I wouldn't be doing it. I would absolutely hate it.
Unless you were really passionate about painting walls.
Unless you're really passionate about painting walls, there probably is somebody out there who's passionate about painting walls. But I love the industry that I'm in, so helping it in any way is fantastic. But we have a main channel sponsor who they have us on retainer, and actually today, funnily enough, they renewed their contract for next year. So that's a 3-year contract they've had so far. Then we have sub-sponsors all the way through. We tend not to do too many integrations because that's from an enjoyment point of view. So with the integrations, they range from anywhere from like $7,500 up to about, well, tens of thousands of dollars. But for me, the content's way more important. It really interrupts the flow of a video. And to me, it's more important for somebody to enjoy my video and come back and watch another one than for me to get a hit just for some money for that one video. Like I said earlier, I've never ever concentrated on monetary values coming in. I've only ever concentrated on growing the channel. Everything else can sort itself out. If you grow a channel, then everything else will come with it. Offers will come with it. Money will come with the views if that's what you're looking for. It'll all fall into place if you grow your channel by doing something that you absolutely love. I've just remembered, have you heard of Spotter?
Spotter. I don't know if I have.
So we actually sold the back catalogue of the Hoof GP YouTube videos from the 1st of June backwards. We sold them the rights to that revenue for the next 5 years, and they pay you a lump sum, which lets you inject it back into your business, where you do anything you want with it, but we injected it back into our business, which can help massively. It's also a guaranteed revenue stream because they say, we think we'll make X amount of money in the next 5 years from your video revenue. Here's what we'll give you for that. And they gamble on it. But to you, it's guaranteed. To them, they're gambling that they'll make more. But who knows where YouTube will be in 4 years' time, or I'll be in 4 years' time. So we did that, which was quite good actually, because it kind of made me not have to worry about revenues or anything like that, and just totally concentrate on producing new content.
So when you get a big paycheck like that, they pay you upfront for a period of potential ad revenue. Like when you inject all of this money into the channel, like what are some of the biggest things that you end up putting that money into?
So for instance, we hired another employee. So I realized my YouTube channel is different from a lot because I film my vocation, but my vocation keeps me very, very busy and it keeps me physically tired. So by hiring another employee, their wages are maybe $50,000 a year. So straight away I know, right, that's him paid for the whole year. Obviously I'm only paying him month by month, but I can pay him for the whole year. I'm not going to be out of pocket because this money's come in, and it means I can focus. I'll have more mental clarity. I'll be physically fitter, physically less lethargic, and I can really concentrate on what I'm doing. Also, I can make a better job of the videos because now there's an extra set of hands to help actually produce and video videos. We can make things cleaner. We have more time at farms because now instead of the workload being between 2 people, it's between 3 people. So it's, for me, I guess really when it boils down to it, I bought myself more time. Like I was saying with Mike, the editor, time is the most valuable thing you've got. Because if you're busy doing this thing over here that's logistical, then you can't be doing anything that's creative and pushing forward your channel or your social media platforms or whatever. So really investing in another employee to create more time was probably the biggest investment, as well as obviously some new camera equipment and new laptops like I'm talking to you on right now.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that is pretty underrated is mental space. So, you hire this employee and everybody has a bit more time now. And it's so important to not just get things done, but to be making the right decisions and kind of keeping the bigger picture in mind pretty much always. The more bogged down you are with day-to-day work, the harder that is to do. If you're just trying to check things off the list and you barely have any energy left over, I think that's a recipe for, maybe in the short run you'll get some success, but in the long run, I think most people would find that overworking yourself, you tend to have not as good of a trajectory as you would want because it's just so hard to keep focus. To kind of pivot with the changing times. Because, YouTube's not a stagnant platform either. Things are always changing, different types of content maybe do better. And it's relatively difficult to keep a cohesive vision. And the only way to really do that is to have at least some spare time and energy to kind of think about things. So, I think that's a great use of money.
Yeah, no, it's good. It works really well on my actual within the industry that I'm working, because it gives me more time per cow as well, which I know we're talking about YouTube, but having more time to concentrate on what I'm actually doing throughout the day means that my customers are happier. I'm doing a better job. And now all of that transfers across to the content that we make. It really does. Also, the cash injection from Spotter helps. So silly things like taking everybody who works with us, we go away for a weekend every year to a city and we live it up kind of thing. And obviously we pay quite a lot of money for that. But it's really important that these people are kind of in some of the videos. They're definitely around it, and they see us doing well from it. And I don't want them to think, oh, it's okay for him on YouTube. I think it's really important to sort of help, like, make sure that they are benefiting from YouTube being around as well. Because if, for instance, if I was earning really good money and didn't give the people around me any of that who are involved in the video production, like either filming or just in the videos or working with me, then they'd be resentful. And well, I wouldn't want that personally, but it also wouldn't transfer into good content, would it?
Definitely not. I think that is always the best way to do things. Some people, I think, they can get too obsessed with the spotlight or what have you. Especially with your channel is based around your vocation, as you said. And did you ever feel kind of drawn to like, what if I just kind of focused on YouTube more and kind of stopped? Was there ever a pull to be less of who you started as, which I think is always kind of dangerous, right? Like there's almost like a drinking the Kool-Aid type of thing that can happen if people get a following where they're like, oh, I'm just going to lean into this, and you kind of end up killing the goose that laid the golden egg. So let's say instead of doing your vocation full time, you're like, I'm going to do it like 10 hours a week, and then maybe I'll just like hire some people, and I'll just like hire somebody to film those people as they kind of trim the hooves, and like doing that too much and doing that like basically trying to half-ass it and make as much money as possible. That can be such a trap.
I'm very, very aware of that. Like super aware of, I know where I came from. That's what I love doing. That's what transfers through the screen to people that I love doing that. So we video in a week. We video maybe 5 or 6 cows in a week. We actually trim about 360, and the cameras are nowhere near. Now, it's obvious to anybody watching or listening to this that YouTube far outweighs what I earn for actually hoof trimming. So technically, we don't need to trim 355 of those cows. We only need to trim 5. But what I love doing is trimming those cows and promoting the industry and pushing those standards forward. So if I stop doing that in sort of chasing down money via YouTube and trying to relax and kick back a little bit, then it wouldn't be real, and I genuinely don't believe it would transfer through the screen properly. Like, it's a dirty environment that we live in, that we work in. Sorry, it's harsh, it's rough, it's physically tiring, it's dangerous, and all of that, the weekly woes kind of grind you down, and that transfers through the screen. If I wasn't true to that, then the videos wouldn't come out as they do. Also, I just I wouldn't be enjoying it. I know that's quite a personal opinion. It's my opinion. It's my channel, and that won't transfer to everybody. So, for instance, I follow the Stradman a lot. I can tell right now the Stradman he's in the automotive space on YouTube. I can tell right now he's got a new girlfriend and he's not producing as much content. And if he was producing content, it probably wouldn't be as good because he's wanting to be with his new girlfriend. It's so obvious, and that's brilliant, and it's good that he's not just forcing the content. And it would be the same for me if I cut back in my actual vocation and focus more on YouTube. Although the focus is always on YouTube as well.
Yeah, I clearly you have a good balance going here. Like, do you have any advice to somebody who has maybe a unique vocation? They're thinking about starting a YouTube channel. Like, what do you like? what kind of wisdom do you have for them to kind of do what you're doing?
Don't be scared to push forward. Don't never try to emulate somebody. So a lot of people who go on YouTube try to be YouTubers. You shouldn't try to be a YouTuber. You should be you. And the more you are you, the more people will buy into you. If you have a unique vocation, people will be interested in it. There's the pool guy. I find that really interesting, cleaning algae out of different pools and like using funny colored lights to kill algae. If you have a unique or very niche vocation, there will be people out there who are interested in it, no matter what it is. I can tell you now, I'm probably one of those people. I like knowing different things. So push forward and be proud of what you're doing. Don't try to copy any of these big, massive YouTubers who are larger than life. Just absolutely be yourself and listen to the feedback. A lot of the time, I know a lot of people who are around the same size as I am on platforms, and I know them personally, and I know they'll kind of shake off some bad comments or whatever, but you need to listen to those comments. You don't need to agree with everyone, but you need to listen to them. And if there's a general consensus, then that general consensus is your audience. So you need to listen to and morph towards whatever they're telling you. Although obviously, if that's not you, if they're telling you to do something that isn't you, then stay true to yourself, because you couldn't not be yourself for the long haul. It would be exhausting, and it wouldn't transfer through the screen properly. So yeah, push forward, and like we were saying earlier, never think you're kind of silly or being a fool, and people will be judging you for being on screen, because if you're not doing it, it's unlikely that they're doing it either.
And so that kind of balance of people in the comments saying, I wish you would do this, but it's not you. Like, how do you, because you also did mention kind of keeping your audience happy. Like, how do you walk that line? Because it's so subjective, and I don't think there is necessarily a clear answer, but maybe it's more of like a mindset of, you, as you mentioned, you do need to stay authentic with yourself. If somebody's saying, you need to do this, but it feels gross or wrong, then that's very obvious. But I think sometimes it's less obvious when you're getting comments of people, I don't know, like they're saying, your voice is annoying. Like, this is something I dealt with, with my kind of YouTube channel, of people saying they don't like my voice, or the way I enunciate is annoying. But like, it was so difficult to kind of like, maybe there's something I could do to evolve my presentation. But then I also don't want to like cut myself off around the edges. Like there's like this weird balancing act between constructive criticism and toxic criticism. And sometimes it's obvious, and sometimes it's not. Like, have you, like, what kind of insights do you have about differentiating between, toxic criticism versus constructive? Maybe when it's more of a gray area.
Yeah, so like you say about the constructive criticism, if somebody criticizes your voice, it's your voice. It's you. It's not something you should or necessarily can control. It's what makes you unique. It's what makes you identifiable. Like, you're wearing glasses right now. Your hair's to the side. My hair's back, and I get a huge amount of hate for it, but it's my hair. I don't judge you. Don't judge me. So when it comes to those kind of comments, of a nitpicking kind of personal criticism that is not necessarily to do with the content you're making, as in your voice, then it's water off a duck's back, because the way I think of it is, in the past, I've commented on a video or a picture of somebody or something. I've commented, and it may not have been the nicest comment in the world. I maybe say, I don't know, I can't think of anything negative I've ever said, to be honest. But if I ever have said something like that, I say it and it's gone. It's not something that I leave the conversation and think, oh, that guy's glasses were so strange. He's really strange, and sit and think and ponder. It would be fleeting. It doesn't matter. They're not fully considering what they're saying. If they said, Graeme, you have silly, long, curly hair, they're not sitting thinking, he's going to read that, He's going to be offended by that. He's going to change that. They're just saying it to say something. And the second they press go, they're watching the next video. So anything like that, personal, it doesn't really matter. It's not something you can change, control, and it's not something you should change or control. If, for instance, I played a kind of music that I really liked, and I played it constantly and played all these songs throughout my videos, and I really liked that music, and I kept producing videos with it, and the general consensus was saying they hated it, well, then that is something I can change. If my goal is to increase views and the general consensus is saying they don't like my choice of music, well, either I want to produce art, in which case I don't care what they're saying, or I want to produce something that will gain views and traction, in which case I do care what they think. So then I would morph that music to better cater towards the people who are watching. So we're constantly, like, I mentioned music because I do get people saying they hate the music that I'm playing, but I know the general pop, the vast majority of people watching it love the music, so it stays. So you can't please everybody, and there's no point in trying to please everybody, because those little nuances are what make you unique and identifiable. And also, they can be polarizing as well. For instance, like Jake Paul, for instance. People will love Jake Paul. People will hate Jake Paul. He's completely polarizing. The people who love him will always watch him. The people who hate him will sometimes watch him, but they'll absolutely hate him. If he wasn't polarizing, he probably wouldn't have as big a following as he has. And the following that he has got are very loyal, and they'll stay with him. So to annoy some people isn't always a bad thing if you're pleasing the greater consensus.
Right. And almost in a way, people being indifferent to you is maybe the worst as far as like what you're looking for. It's like if you're boring, like like if people are like, oh, he seems fine, like whatever, and then they forget about you, that's like the worst. I don't know. It's
100%.
Some haters usually are a sign that you're doing something right, or like you're getting enough attention to where people feel the need to like bring you down or insult you about whatever it is, and that is probably a sign that you are succeeding in some way, and that it's just important to I don't know. Sometimes constructive criticism is very obvious, and I would say unless it's like a really well-meaning comment and you can tell they like put thought into this and they're like trying to, I don't know, there's just something that they genuinely think you could improve. Unless it's like that, then it's good to keep in mind that being polarizing or having some haters, so to speak, maybe is just a sign of success.
Yeah, it's like Emma, Emma Chamberlain.
Yeah.
She always, when she sips coffee, it's the most annoying noise ever. But that's what Emma Chamberlain does. If I did it, people would hate it, and it probably is annoying to people that are in her audience. But it kind of sets her apart as well. It's something that I remembered straight away when I thought about Emma Chamberlain.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's a good point. And the sipping example is really funny. Even things like that. It's I think the more you try to like sand off and gentrify your personality, the more, one, it's like exhausting. Two, you do kind of end up killing the goose that laid the golden egg, and you just it's not worth it. You got to be you, got to be authentic, and I feel like you've done a very good job of that, and I'm glad you're going strong, like all these years on YouTube, and it's it's still killing it.
It's colossal. It's absolutely colossal. I did a little roundup video, and I calculated how many views had been across all of my social media platforms, and it was at 1.7 billion views, which is just
dang.
It's incredible. On Facebook, I actually had to produce some figures just now, and there was 53 million unique viewers who had been on the page in the last 12 months, which is just, I mean, I never expected that kind of thing. And I've got to say as well, we kind of focused on some negativity there with people saying bad things or whatever. The vast, vast, vast majority of our comments and messages and emails are so lovely and so enthusiastic, and it's just fantastic. It kind of restores your faith in humanity, how people can be. And those are the ones, when somebody does that, those people are thinking about you afterwards. They are not saying something nice and not considering it 10 minutes later or half an hour later. That stays with them. It's the negative ones that it's just gone. They'll say something negative and it's gone. They're not thinking about it, which lets you know what people, where the genuine feelings lie. They usually lie in the good comments, not the bad ones. Although, having said that, if I get 2,000 good comments and one bad comment, I'll usually comment on the bad one. Focus on the bad one.
That seems to be how it goes. The human brain is a fickle thing.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So my last question for you, because we're getting close to that hour mark, is like, how has YouTube changed you? Like, what is the before and after of your life? So before YouTube, your life is a certain way, and then after you, and obviously it's not just YouTube, but after you kind of get this big online presence, how has your life changed? In like, how do you feel differently on the inside? What does that look like?
Yeah, I'll be totally honest. I'm happier because of YouTube, a lot happier. So I don't want to go too deep, but I suffer with depression. I've got ADHD and I've got a bipolar disorder. So like I'm medicated for them all, but all of YouTube has helped me immensely. It's helped me see the good in people. It's helped me to help people around me. It's taken me from being very in debt to owning and living in a beautiful property and securing my family's future. But it's also helped me to improve the lives of cows and farmers right across the world. No matter where we go, whether it's, and I'm not a very big YouTube channel, but no matter where we go in the world, people say hello. They talk to you like they know you. They'll come up and say, "Hi, Graeme. How's such and such?" And you
That's
think,
cool.
hold on a second, do I know this person? And the warmth that you get back from people it's immense. It really, really is. And it actually inspires you to do more and to kind of spread more positivity, which is what I try to do on the channel. But I also try to keep it real. I'll try to explain sometimes that YouTube and Facebook and social media platforms, that they're curated content. I am a happy person. I'm an energetic and outgoing person, but I have dark patches and down patches and things like that. And I think it's important for people on the outside looking in at somebody on social media to understand that it is curated. It's the best parts of a true life, but there are some bad parts. But in answer to your question, it's filled my life with a lot of joy and security and happiness, and I've been able to help family. We just put somebody through a huge back operation just literally last month. So yeah, YouTube has changed my life, that's for sure.
That's beautiful, man. I'm really happy to hear it. Like that. Those are the kind of stories I love hearing, and I'm stoked for you. Like this is huge, and obviously you know it. And thanks for being here. I have
no
really,
problem at all.
With that, like, thanks for listening, everybody. Graeme, why don't you tell people kind of where? Obviously, you're the Hoof GP, but if there's anything else you kind of want to point people towards, go for it.
You can just search up the Hoof GP, search across our channels, and yeah, if you've heard me on this podcast, let me know in the comments and recommend this podcast to everybody else.
Right on. And with that, I'll see you in the next one, everybody.